Okay, in this next chapter, we're going to be talking about TDD, that is test driven development. Most people think about it as a testing strategy, but it's actually more a design strategy than a testing strategy. You will see the why on the next few minutes. First of all, we're going to need to install our testing framework. In this case, we're going to do npm install jest, as this is the framework that we're going to be using. This might take a little bit of time, so I'll let it run. Now that jest is added to our project, let's try to run a test. So how do we do this? First of all, you can see on the scripts here a test method that if we run npm test, at this point it's just echoing that there's no test specification. So let's change this to actually use jest. It's as simple as we have that as a dependency, we run add it here as jest, and we don't npm test. Now it's trying to run jest. But it's actually telling us that it cannot actually run any test because we have not created any test at this point. So let's do that. Let's start by creating a new folder where all our code is going to be. Let's do this on the root folder, so src, and let's create a test for that. Basically, as this is saying here, it's expecting a file that is whatever name dot test or spec dot js or ts. So let's do that. Let's create a new test called awesome dot test dot js, and let's run again. It's going to fail again because there's no test at this point. So we can actually describe a new set of tests. So my awesome test, and if we run, we still have no test. So we can actually write a test here. Let's do it with an it. At this point, it will pass, but it's actually not doing anything. So what do we want to do? We want to test a class that we're going to actually be doing at this point. So as TDD means starting with the test, I will actually start writing the test and then I will write my code. Let's just create a simple function that adds to. So let's say that with this, we are describing an add function that it should add two numbers. And we are going to just do that, no? So we do an add, that's the name of our functions, and we do one, we pass two parameters, so one and one. We expect basically that if we do one plus one, this is going to be equal to. So we need to expect something. So we expect, but anyway, before we actually expect anything, will this actually pass? As we are doing TDD, we should go with the minimal part first. So at this point, it's failing because this actually doesn't exist. So even before we do anything, we can even start by creating this function. So let's do that. So we're going to have a constant that is this add, and this is going to require, that is just basically a way of importing from add. So let's do that. So if we do a new file, well, you can actually see that it will still fail. So because it's unable to actually import anything. So if we do a new file that is add.js, we can actually do this and it will still fail because it actually still doesn't have that function. So let's add that function. So let's do const add, that is something, and it's not going to return anything at this point. And we need to export it because again, this still doesn't work because this file is actually not sharing that function. So we need to do module.export, and we're going to be uh, let's just do it as default. So this is going to uh, always return the add function. So now at this point, it actually passes because it's trying to call this function and that function already exists. Now we can go one step forward. We can validate that the function is actually doing what we expect. So in Jest, you have the expect function that allows you to do that. So let's say that this add 1 plus 1 needs to be equal to 2. Same like we're saying on this comment down below. So if we do this, uh, it's saying that it expected 2, but it received actually an undefined. So let's do that. In TDD, it's very important to do one thing. You do only what the test asks you to. So, for example, we could now start writing the entire code on how do we add one number to the other. But in reality, this is only expecting that our functions returns to. So I'm going to just do that. The test passes. So why is this important? The thing is, as developers, we tend to have a lot of ideas on how we want to do things. The problem with that is that we end up overcomplicating things or writing code that is not tested. So it's important to just do what the test asks you for. With this in mind, let's now improve our tests. So with this now adding 1 and 1 equals 2 doesn't oblige me to actually write anything. Should add should add 1 and 1 to be equal to. So the second test can add any other numbers, making it impossible for me to actually do the same thing. So let's say 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. So with this in mind, now if I run my test, the second test fails. I cannot do the thing again because the other fail is invalidating the ability for me to do this. So let's do that first, second, and we return first plus second. And I run the test. Whoops. Okay, so as you can see, this is the good thing. By going so fast, I did the mistake of pressing the wrong button. So the tests have actually helped me not only design my code, but validate that my code is actually based on the description that I've done. So with this in mind, now that I fixed what operator I added, now my tests are actually passing and working. This is a little piece of code that is already functional, so I'm going to commit it. So as we've done before, we can add everything. In other cases, we don't want to add everything and we want to review it, but we'll see this on the next chapter. So now I have everything. I can do a git commit, and let's see what I want to add. Added how to do TD. And now everything is committed, but in my local machine, so I can do a git push, and this will go to my GitHub repository. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoy it, and see you on the next chapter.